Welcome dear students. Today we are going to discuss on the very important theme, that is cognitive approach to intelligence. The main objectives of today's lecture include to understand what is the cognitive approach to intelligence, to understand how cognitive approach to intelligence is different from psychometric approach to intelligence, to understand the Sternberg's approach to intelligence, to understand the Gardner's multiple theory of intelligence, to understand with examples the various components reflected in Gardner's multiple theory of intelligence. Let us first have a brief background of the topic by knowing the difference between psychometric and cognitive approach to intelligence. As per Anderson, the psychometric approach aims at checking whether the people answer the items of an intelligence test correctly or not, while as the cognitive approach to intelligence focuses on how the people answer the items and why some people perform better than others while answering the items of an intelligence test. In other words, the cognitive approach looks into the specific thought processes that sustain mental abilities. Lee Cornbach, a prominent psychologist, criticized the lack of consensus between psychologists on the basis of intelligence in a speech to the American Psychological Association in 1957. His proposal of two disciplines of scientific psychology to be brought together led to the creation of cognitive theories of intelligence. Proponents of cognitive approach of intelligence believe that intelligence consists of mental representations of information. A person who is highly intelligent is said to be able to have better ability to represent knowledge in more organized form and to process it more quickly. According to this approach, our brain processes information like a computer with input, store process, output mechanism. One of the leading proponents of this approach is the famous psychologist Robert Sternberg, who is known for his triarchic theory of intelligence, as per which the cognitive processes that determine intelligence are divided into three categories. Let us understand these categories one by one. Meta components. As far as the meta components are concerned, these are the higher order processes that help to plan and regulate the execution of various tasks. These include problem solving abilities such as recognizing various issues, creating different hypotheses and strategies, testing them rationally, and analysis of performance feedback. Performance components. As far as the performance components are concerned, these include the mental processes which help an individual to complete tasks. The perceptual processing, collection of schemas from long-term memory and response creation are central to this process. Knowledge acquisition component. These involve learning from past experiences, information storage, and to link new information with previous information. Further, Sternberg believed that there are three types of intelligence, which include analytical intelligence. It is the ability of a person to excel in academics and related problem solving abilities, usually assessed by IQ tests. Practical abilities. It refers to the abilities of a person to deal with challenges, effective management of self and others. Creative intelligence. It encompasses the mental skills that are required by a person to deal adaptively with unique issues. Sternberg emphasizes that educational institutions should aim at nourishing of all sides of intelligence among the students to ensure their overall development. He carried out studies on the sample group of elementary school going children and found that a curriculum designed on such principles ensure greater mastery of courses material than a standard analytical memory based approach to acquiring course information. Now we will discuss the other theories which are based on cognitive approach to intelligence. Gardner's multiple intelligence theory. Howard Gardner, a Harvard psychologist, is one of the most ardent supporters of this viewpoint. Gardner advanced the notion of cognitive approach to intelligence and highlighted the following domains of intelligence. Linguistic intelligence. It refers to the ability of a person to use language effectively. You might have seen some persons who is very good at communication, for example, in your class. There may be few persons who are excellent orators or writers. Accordingly, they are said to possess the linguistic intelligence to a greater extent than their colleagues. Some persons speak so many languages, I mean to say, they are multilingual, or to be precise, possessing proficiency in so many languages. Such kind of persons are also said to be having high levels of linguistic intelligence. Logical or mathematical intelligence. It refers to the capacity of a person to reason mathematically or logically. In your class, there may be a few students who are very good at solving the mathematical problems. They find it easy to solve even the complex mathematical problems, and even sometimes go for the shortcut methods to solve the problems that require enough time to solve. Such students are more likely to have higher levels of logical mathematical intelligence. But point to be noted here is that you need not to necessarily be genius to solve the mathematical problems, but even if you have an average intelligence, you may work hard and practice too much to be a top performer in any exam that demands the mathematical intelligence from you. Visuospatial intelligence. It refers to the ability of an individual to solve special difficulties or excel in fields like architecture. In other words, it refers to the spatial judgment and the capacity to visualize with the mind's eye. The famous psychologist Howard Gardner defined it as a human computational capacity that provides the ability or mental skill to solve spatial problems of navigation, visualization of objects from different angles and spaces, faces or scenes recognition, or to notice fine details. Gardner discovered that a blind individual can detect shapes in non-visual manner. The blind person's spatial reasoning enables them to interpret tactile sensations into mental length calculations and build images. Musical intelligence. It is the ability of an individual to recognize pitch and rhythm, along with the ability of comprehension and composition of the music. Let me ask you a few questions. Do you have an excellent sense of rhythm, patterns and pitch in music? Do you find that turning concepts into lyrics makes them much easier to remember? If this is the case, you have displayed musical intelligence. Prominent singers obviously are examples of people with a high level of musical intelligence. To put it another way, they think in terms of music and rhythms. People with musical intelligence may readily hear and detect patterns. They are actually aware of rhythms and sounds. They can tell the difference between the sounds various musical instruments. You should remember that. Patterns are important to those with musical intelligence. For example, in order to improve learning, they look for patterns in the material presented to them. They look for patterns in voice and language as well. They recall information by putting into lyrics or rhythms. Music is very important to people who have musical intelligence. Musically intelligent people are known to look for patterns in their surroundings, be attracted to sound, learn foreign languages, phrases and words quickly, take pleasure in singing and dancing, and remember things by using patterns. Besides this, they maintain a solid rhythm, are able to play multiple instruments, are passionate about music, have the capacity to recall tunes quickly, and most importantly, understand musical structure, notes, tones, and rhythm at a high level. Bodily kinesthetic intelligence. It as reflected by a talented athlete is the ability of a person to direct body movements and influence objects. Pertinent to mention here, the kinesthetic learners gain knowledge through movements and experimenting. They are drawn to sports and activities that involve physical effort and mastery. Some kinesthetic people are drawn to the aesthetic side of movement, such as dance or any other form of creative movement. These creative types adore acting and performing in front of crowd. Kinesthetic intelligence people appreciate making things and figuring out how things function. They enjoy working with their hands and are quite active. They have exceptional motor abilities and coordination. Further, they are conscious of their bodies. The other characteristics of persons possessing the kinesthetic intelligence include learning by doing, well coordinated, good with hands, enjoyment in sports, excitement seeking, very active, crafty and energetic. Interpersonal intelligence. It is the ability to effectively communicate with people. In other words, the ability to bond and connect with others as well as manage relationships is referred to as interpersonal intelligence. Improving your interpersonal intelligence abilities will help you comprehend other people's emotions more quickly and decide how to communicate with them depending on those emotions. Interpersonal intelligence is the ability to understand how others feel and then interact with them in a situationally appropriate manner. It entails having self-awareness, which is being aware of your own emotions and behaviors and then modifying them to communicate more effectively with those around you. Many professions such as teachers, performers, counselors, and politicians rely on interpersonal intelligence to communicate with others in a relatable and beneficial manner. People with strong interpersonal intelligence typically have the following characteristics. There are many methods for increasing interpersonal intelligence. Let you learn some tips that will help you to improve your interpersonal intelligence. These tips are in consonance with an article published by Indeed editorial team. Firstly, you need to try to teach others because learning how to convey a topic in an easy to understand manner can often make that person more open to your teaching style and tutoring efforts. Besides, you need to volunteer in your community. Volunteering in your community not only allows you to help others in need, but it also allows you to improve your communication skills and compassion. Active listening is another important skill you need to have. Active listening refers to someone's ability to listen to the viewpoints, thoughts and opinions of others and then acknowledge what he stated. Besides, you need to exercise empathy. Empathy means when you can feel what others are feeling, it becomes simpler to communicate with them and enhance your interpersonal skills. This can frequently assist you in gaining a new viewpoint that you would have not comprehended otherwise. Further, you should be an active team member. Consider becoming an active team member in your daily life, which entails becoming more involved in your team and assisting other team members more frequently. You can become a more active team member by recognizing others' efforts, offering assistance and taking on leadership roles when needed. Another important thing to do is that you need to show more social sensitivity. Try to show more social sensitivity, which includes being aware of people's sensitiveness and changing your speech to avoid offending them. It is critical to be aware of what themes are potentially insulting or what jokes others do not find amusing. Lastly, to have high interpersonal intelligence, think about how you communicate yourself non-verbally and try to display more instances of optimism which might make people feel more at ease around you and desire to connect with you. This also includes using gestures and acts that are customary in another culture. Intrapersonal intelligence, it is the ability of a person to comprehend oneself. In a 2017 study, Rahadian Solikati discovered that children with strong intrapersonal intelligence might accomplish the fourth level of Bloom's taxonomy, which is the analyzing level. Students with moderate intrapersonal intelligence may thus reach the applying level, whereas students with poor intrapersonal intelligence could reach the understanding level. Because each student has a different degree of thinking, it follows that each student's ability to solve a problem is unique. Teachers are supposed to assess students' intrapersonal intelligence because it is an important component in a student's progress in mathematics learning. Furthermore, if teachers are well equipped in structuring the entire teaching and learning process as well as assessing each student's intrapersonal intelligence, students will attain optimal accomplishment in studying mathematics. Naturalistic intelligence. It is the capacity of an individual to identify and comprehend natural events. Now let us understand the characteristics of individuals with high naturalistic intelligence. Such individuals have a strong affinity for the natural world. They have the other distinguishing features as well, which I will briefly mention here. They demonstrate an interest in learning how things function. They care about the environment and enjoy connecting with nature. They enjoy discovering new species and habitats. They are interested in using observational tools such as microscopes, binoculars and telescopes. They specialize to take nature-related courses such as botany, ecology, zoology, etc. They specialize in gardening, farming, science, ecology or veterinary medicine. They are sensitive to appreciate nature. They enjoy gardening and feel alive when in contact with nature. They have a pastime that incorporates nature. They are environmentally conscious and are bothered by pollution. They participate in environment or nature preservation causes. They may be interested in joining the Boys or Girls Scouts if they read nature books or periodicals. In this multiple intelligence profile assessment, Armstrong utilized the 10 statements listed below to assess naturalistic intelligence. Number 1, I write well and I enjoy putting thoughts on paper or computer. Number 2, I enjoy telling stories or jokes. Number 3, I enjoy games like Scrabble or anagrams. Number 4, I enjoy reading books and magazines. Number 5, I have a good vocabulary. Number 6, I enjoy communicating by talking or writing. Number 7, Malaya, English and histories were among my favorite subjects in school. Number 8, when I walk down the pathway in town, I pay more attention to the words on billboards than to the people around. Number 9, I enjoy entertaining others or myself with tongue twisters, nonsense rhymes, limericks or puns. Number 10, I get more out of listening to the radio or a spoken word cassette than I do from television or films. Existential intelligence. It is the ability of a person to focus on questions about meaning of one's being, life and death. In other words, existential intelligence can be characterized in a variety of ways. Some psychologists define it as a broad capacity for comprehension and thinking that presents itself in many ways to deal with situations. Others define it as a collection of unique abilities that tend to be positively connected. Some have interpreted it as an ability to process information, while others have seen it as an ability to adapt. Despite the abundance of literature, the fundamental conceptual and universal essence of intelligence remains elusive, shrouded in disagreement and mystery. Some persons are not well known for their musical abilities, nor as athletes with bodily kinesthetic intelligence, nor are they well known for their mathematical abilities, nor as architects with special abilities. So, what kind of intelligence or capacity enabled them to rise to the top of their respective fields? One of the possible answers could be their thinking skills and unusually thinking about a more significant topic such as why do we live? Why do we perish? What is the true nature of life? What makes existing distinct from living? This unusual thinking ability reveals a sort of intelligence known as existential intelligence, which was defined by Howard Gardner. The concept of this type of intellect is founded on humans' inclination to ponder the most basic questions of existence. These concerns transcend beyond perception and deal with topics that are too small or too large for human sensory systems or to grasp. In her blog article titled "The Importance of Existential Intelligence," Vidhashree defined existential intelligence as the ability to employ intuition, thought, and metacognition to pose more profound questions about human existence and an individual's interconnectedness to outside world. Furthermore, the research indicated no statistically significant variation in the level of existential intelligence based on gender. On the contrary, numerous studies have revealed a considerable difference in the level of existential intelligence favoring females with a higher level of existential intelligence. By speculating on the lives of two friends, Matt and Joseph, sheds light on the special qualities of existential learner with a special level of existential intelligence. Characteristics such as keen introspective power, firm grasp of personal convictions, and the ability to interpret new ideas from these beliefs, as well as his or her life experiences as described in his article. The existential learner, furthermore, studies have demonstrated how these abilities enabled an existential learner to modify his or her own style of learning and make better epitomic and logical connections among numerous topics from other fields. We do not test intelligence in the traditional sense because intelligence is an abstract concept that cannot be quantified physically. In the case of measuring intelligence, we attempt to measure activities, potential, abilities associated with the specific intelligence. For example, if we want to measure musical intelligence, we must assess one's musical performance, ability. If we want to measure logical, mathematical intelligence, we must assess one's potential ability to deal with numbers. There could be numerous techniques to assess existential intelligence. However, if we could evaluate people's ability to think large questions, the result could point to an individual's level of existential intelligence. The nature of such great issues is now critical. Nonetheless, the roots of those questions may be found in existentialism philosophy. This philosophy is concerned with human existence as a being. How profoundly and intensely one thinks about those concerns and how eagerly one seeks answers to these questions reflects his or her possessiveness of existential intelligence. Dear students, hope you have understood the Gardner's theory of intelligence in a clear manner. In case you find yourself to be high on any of the types of intelligence mentioned in this theory, please connect with your mentor to nourish it in a finest possible way. I hope you will do the same. Thanks and see you in some other lecture. Thank you.